Let's just quickly do that. I didn't know that information. Hi guys, it's Molly. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to go through my 2024 wrap up as well as some statistics. I'm a big spreadsheet girly. So let's get straight into it. In 2024 I read 60 books and DNF'd 1. And that is 469% more than 2023's reading goal and 254% more than 2024's reading goal. So I've done infinitely better than I expected myself to. In no particular order, my top 5 books were The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And again, in no particular order, my bottom 5 books were The Water Cure by Sophie Mackintosh, Tiepolo Blue by James Cahill, Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote, Stardust by Neil Gaiman, the movie was better, and Mrs. S by Kay Patrick. Now that's not to say I didn't like these books, these were just my 5 lowest rated books of the year. They were all still 3 stars, I believe. In total I read 16,118 pages. The shortest book I read was So Late in the Day with 46 pages, and the longest book I read was The Priory of the Orange Tree with 848 pages. And with that, the average book length turned out to be 264 pages. My best reading month turned out to be February, for some reason, with 11 books and 2,174 pages. I still honestly can't believe that the shortest month was my best reading month. My worst reading month was August with 3 books and 710 pages, which again is surprising because I don't think I actually really did much in August. Like, I had holiday, you know? Why didn't I read more? Was I just rotting? My top season for reading was winter at 34.4%, and I read 5 books a month on average. My top rating for books in 2024 was 5 stars at 45%. I'm very generous with my 5 stars, and my average rating was 4.3 stars. Of the books I read, 1.6% were ebooks and 98.4% were physical books. 6.4% were non-fiction and 93.6% were fiction. And out of all the books I read, 44.3% were translated fiction, which I'm actually really proud of. I only recently got into translated fiction in 2023, so I'm really happy to see that nearly half of my reading was translated. And I'm going to guess the majority of that is because of all the Japanese manga I've read, but it's still translated. The top age group I read was adult at 55.7%. Of the authors I read, 42.6% were from authors that I had read books of before, and 57.4% were authors new to me. The type of books I read the most were standalone books at 52.5%, and in terms of my TBR, 62.3% were from my physical TBR, 31.1% were books I purchased, and 6.6% were borrowed from the library or NetGalley, and 65.6% of those books I purchased I bought in 2024. Now onto my favourite section, genre breakdown. My top genre appears to be manga at 29.5%, but I also read a lot of fantasy, contemporary and classic books. And honestly, I think all the manga I read was One Piece, which is essentially fantasy. And now we're going to go through a few new statistics I added, and these were inspired by Ariel and Raylene from Books Unbound podcast. So, decades breakdown. This is just referring to the decades in which the books were first published. So my top decade was the 1990s at 34.4%, but I also read a lot of 2010s and 2020s books. And I think the decade that goes the furthest back is 1620, and I believe that was from when I read Macbeth. Next we've got a bit of a country breakdown, which again is just an overview of the country the books were published in. And the top country is Japan at 37.7%. Again, I think the majority of that are the Japanese manga I read, One Piece, but I also did read a lot of translated literary fiction in general. And then after Japan, I also read a lot of books from England and America. Now we're looking at my top 5 authors. No surprise here, my top author is Eiichiro Oda, who wrote the One Piece mangas with 18 books. And then the next 4 authors, I read 2 books from each of them, and they are Claire Keegan, Jane Austen, Leigh Bardugo, and Robin Hobb. And then I've just got a couple of statistics from my Fable 2024 wrap, and they were basically just telling me that I was in the top 5% of classical readers, the top 5% of graphic novel readers, and top 10% of historical fiction readers. Okay, that was a lot of numbers. But yeah, those were my statistics for the 2024 reading year. And honestly, I won't blame you if you zoned out during this video or even fell asleep. I know I nearly did trying to find all these numbers. Even if you did zone out, as a spreadsheet girly, I do hope you enjoyed these statistics regardless, as much as I do. And comment the upwards stock graph if you love getting your statistics at the end of the year. I'm definitely going to be doing spreadsheets again in 2025, but I think I'm going to change the format of the one I have. I'm going to try the spreadsheet by covers with Cassidy because she tracks a lot of different things, and it's not necessarily about about finishing the book, but just sort of the different information surrounding the book, which I find really intriguing. And I'll probably keep a separate, simpler spreadsheet just tracking how long it takes me to read the books as well. And I already use 2 different spreadsheets in 2024, so I don't think it'll be too hard to switch between the two when and if I need them. I'll put a link in the description for Cassidy's video talking about his spreadsheets, and I'll also link the other spreadsheet that I use to track when I finish a book and other little stats that I just want to know that aren't in Cassidy's. And the template for that one, I believe, is from Ariel and Leigh over at Books Unbound. So it's got a book catalogue and a purchasing tracker, but then I've added 2 extra columns and added all the pie charts that I want. So credits to them, and I'll link their original template and then my slightly updated template. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Sweet dreams!